yansi bayina omulimu gwe bataakola baali basuubira okuba nti bandibadde bateekawo deployments oba abasirikale mu mangu ddala ne basobola okuziyiza abamenyi b'amateeka bano okudduka.
Abantu ba bulijjo abalala babiri nabo bakwatiddwa nga bagambibwa okuba nga bandiba nga baliko kye bamanyi kukutibwa kwe yali osisi w'e Kajjansi. Kaweesa ategeezezza nga obumenyi bw'amateeka obw'emmundu nga bwe bweyongedde ng'entalo ezeetoolodde Uganda ziresewo omuwendo gw'emmundu okweyongera mu bantu ba bulijjo. Kimuli Ivan Kigozi.
Muli Ivan Kigozi, ggulire eryo kwe twagala okujja endowooza era tubuuza olowooza kiku kya poliisi okulagira ababbisa emmundu okubwa ku nnyama. Olowooza kiku kya poliisi okulagira ababbisa emmundu okubwa ku nnyama. Weereza endowooza yo ku peegi yaffe ya Facebook NTV Uganda. Nkukakasa mbwe zimu ku zo nja kuba nzisoma nga situnabakomekereza. Mu mawulire amalala, omukulembeze w'eggwanga lya America Barack Obama alabuddwa ku ky'okulowooza nti enkolagana ya Uganda ne America eyimiriddewo lwa bisiyaga. Kino kiddiridde Obama olunaku lw'eggulo okutegeeza President Yoweri Museveni nga bw'asaana okwesonyiwa ekyokussa omukono ku tteeka eribonereza abali b'ebisiyaga. Obama era yalabudde nti Uganda singa eziimuula amagezi gano kaakugijjuutuka. Wabula omwogezi wa President Museveni Tamale Mirundi agambye nti ekikulu si America kumma Uganda buyambi wabula kussa kitiibwa mu ekyo bannayuganda basinga obungi kye baagala.
Olunaku lw'abaagalana Valentine nga lwe lwokutaano lwa ssabbiiti ewedde, President Museveni yaleka akamwenyumwenyu ku matama ga bannayuganda abawera bwe yasalawo eggoye ku bisiyaga.
I'm going to sign the bill.
Kyokka ebweru wa Uganda, kino kyavuddeko embetezi. President wa America Barack Obama emu ku nsi ezisinga okuwa Uganda obuyambi yavuddeyo eggulo n'ategeeza ng'okusalawo kwa Museveni bwe kwennyamiza. Ono yategezezza nga Museveni bwe yamumazeemu ennyo amaanyi n'agamba nti etteeka lino lijja kunyigiriza nnyo abasiyazi saako okuzza Uganda emabega. Bino omwogezi wa President Museveni Tamale Mirundi agamba tebyeraliikiriza.
Abasayansi bamugambye nti si balwadde balamu. Kakati omuntu omulamu ategeera alina okumanya waakolera ekintu. Toyinza kuzimba lufula ya mbizi ku muzikiti. Tikisoboka. Obo bayinsayitinga bwe bagikuba ne bakwokya ne bakuttiramu ne bakulinchinga obo baprovokings. Kakati ya president yagamba nti abasiyazi tebajja kukkirizibwa kukola parade. Tebajja kukkirizibwa kufumbirigano. Tebajja kukkirizibwa kulikulutinga abaana baffe mu masomero owa babadde bakozesa ssente.
Mu kiwandiiko Obama kye yafulumizza yategezezza ng'enkolagana ya Uganda ne America bwegenda okufuna obuzibu.
Nedda. Anti kambabuuze, you a poor man. Togenda kusengukawo, tosobola kuzimba nyumba, landlord akugambye ti abaana bo bakkirize bali embizi olyokobeere ku nyumba zange okola ki?
Wano Tamale waagambidde nti enkolagana ya Uganda ne America teyajjawo lwa bisiyaga.
We shall have a war with the homosexual lobby in the world, but backed by these people and you. We go back to work.
Ekyokutuma obuyambire kisi kyekikulu not at all. Ekikulu bannayuganda baagala ki? Omukulembeze afa ku bantu bye baagala. Omukulembeze tafa ku byebeeru bye baagala.
Akkatiriza ng'obusiyazi bwe butali bulwadde era singa omuntu azza omusango alina okusalibwa ekibonerezo ng'amateeka bwe galagira.
Ate bo Obama nabo mubeegendereze. President Obama talya bisiyaga ayina amakaake. Clinton talya bisiyaga ayina amakaake. Oli talya bisiyaga. Bo beekwasa ekintu kimu kyokka kugamba nti Freedom of Association tibayina eddembe okwegatta ne bakuba parade ne bakola embaga zaabwe ne bakola ki. Ffe mu Africa tetubikola.
Mirundi agamba nti America bw'enaasalawo obutawa Uganda buyambi tekijja kugigaana kugenda mu maaso.
Mubanga abaga nti omwavu taba na kiki. Omwavu aba ne kiki.
Florence Aluyimba.
Abalinnya Florence Naluyimba. Ababaka ba Parliament abavubuka nga babaka mu Parliament abatezesa ba Minister Amama Mbabazi akatego ekyankwanzi bagamba nti bayagadde kumalawo bonna kigwanizi n'emivuyo mu kibiina kino. Bagamba nti endowooza yaabwe eno yatandika dda era bwe batuuse ekyankwanzi ne bongera okukakasa nti ddala President Museveni akyalina obusobozi bw'amaanyi. Abavubuka bano abeegattira mu kakundi akayitibwa Club 9 wabula munnabyabufuzi Ateria Ntama Dr. Miriam Matembe agugombodde ababaka ba Parliament abatuludde mu myaka ababadde ekyankwanzi okulemererwa okulungamya ba Musaayi Mutobano. Musasi waffe kati webisengawo.
Vice Chairperson of the NRM Parliamentary.
Oluvannyuma lw'akabondo k'ababaka ba NRM okutula ekyankwanzi okumala ennaku 10, abavubuka abaleese ekiteeso ekya President Museveni okwesimba mu 2016 nga tavuganyiziddwa okuva mu kibiina kye batunuliddwa nga bazira mu kibiina so nga ate waliwo abagamba nti batunze eggwanga. Abavubuka bano bawuniikiriza ababaka naddala abo nga Ssaabaminisita Amama Mbabazi abadde n'endowooza y'okuvuganya ku bukulembeze bw'eggwanga mu 2016. Kyokka abavubuka bano bagamba nti wabaddewo okwegwanyiza kw'amaanyi mu kibiina ssaako emivuyo naddala mu bukulembeze bwe kusalawo President Museveni asigale ng'atwala ekibiina mu maaso.
Because if you ask yourself, who is uniting all of us within NRM? Is a chairman, is a founder chairman. Sure. Come below that, all senior leaders within the party have conflicts amongst themselves. Yes. So, as a young leaders, we would rather say, and the main reason what motivated us honestly is how do we work with the chairman to achieve the long-term vision of NRM as a party.
Ono agamba nti ng'abavubuka kisingako okusigala ne Museveni okusinga okufuna abantu abapya. Kyokka munnabyabufuzi Ateria Ntama Miriam Matembe agamba nti kuno kwabadde kutogera nkola ya demokrasiya.
If a senior member attempts to come and cause intrigue, for us as young leaders now want to begin exposing them, not again to wait that you're beginning to mobilize us to cause intrigue within the party, and you know most times we are the ones who are used.
Ne Mbabazi yasoma lo amateeka gonna agamanyi. Banyombi bonna babaddeyo ne Attorney General nga gyali. Lugunda bonna bali eyo distinguished leaders mu country muno. Abatayinza kumanya nti democracy ekitegeeza nti mu party omwo mubeera mu competition. Abaagala kwesimba internally ne beesimba.
Ye Dr. Kenneth Omuna okubekabira Maido agamba nti endowooza eno y'okuwa President Museveni ekisanja ekirala yatandikawo eyo mu 2012 kyokka ekyankwanzi beetegeeza nga Museveni akyayina embavu kwe kusalawo okuteeka emikono ku kiwandiiko ekimuwagira. Kyokka ye Miriam Matembe agumbudde abantu abakulu mu kibiina kya NRM obutawabula ba Musaayi muto.
Kale engeri ng'eyo engeri yo y'ekinanfuusi tetuwagala nnyo ku pati yaffe. Kale omuntu oba ayagala kwesimba aje butereeve bitangaala agambe nti nange njala kwesimba ne engeri y'ekinanfuusi eyo si kirungi kubanga emenya epati.
Ne wavaayo obwo obwana obuwala obuto obwalabye kasimbye wali amavivi taata jjajja nkwegayiridde kati omusajja atuuse n'okwegayirira obuzzukulu ng'asigalewo ng'afuga kubanga abuwa switi ne kabaragala.
Kati ekisigalidde lwe lukiiko lw'ekibiina kino talamiruka okutuula okusala ku nsonga eno kyokka nga abaagala okuvuganya Museveni baddembe okwesobolayo.
Amalala bo abakyala mu disitulikiti y'e Lwengo olwawulidde ekyabadde ekyankwanzi nabo kwe kutongooza ekibiina ekigenda okutambula nju ku nju okunoonyeza President Yoweri Museveni akalulu.
Abakyala nga bakulembeddwa mu Christine Ndagire bagamba nti batandise kaweefube w'okutambula nga nju ku nju nga basagulira President Museveni akalulu.
Enju ku nju nga tunoonya akalulu ka Museveni.
Bano ababadde bambadde emijoozi okuli ebifaananyi bya Museveni babadde beesibye ebisanja wakati mu kuzina kono okukola ebyennyimba. Boogedde nti Museveni yabajja emmanju era nga kati basobola okukola guno na guli.
Tukola emirimu gyaffe gye twetaaga tutukyaka abannaku n'abaana baffe n'abaweerera mu ssomero. Tuli bulungi naffe tulya tunywa twambala.
Tuli mukulu lya Kaliba.
Twenga Lwengo district abakyala basalawo ne Lwengo yonna district n'abantu bamu bonna tebo 2016 betaaga omukulu Yoweri Kaguta Museveni yaba yesimbawo ku kaadi ya FNRM. Kati bawulidde nga bemba parliament nabo bakoze ekyo kwe kutandika okulaba nti batandika okutegeeza buli omu ekiriwo tunamu ategeke mangu akalulu ka NRM.
Ekiteeso ky'okuzza Museveni okwesimbawo ku bwa pulezidenti mu mwaka gwa 2016 kyaleetebwa omubaka w'abavubuka mu mambuka g'eggwanga Every Nante.
oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa abekika era bulala basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagende mu Lukola eyo nakasongola mu Buluri twagende mu Butale Babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde palamenti muyise bosi basajja
omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli eno ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo.
Tobeera mu ssuuti ate ng'oteekamu gganduula.
Olina kubeerako kimu.
Beerako kimu.
Kubanga okusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda. Eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina.
Nakulabira Abaganda baagala Kabaka.
Tegezeza mu kusooka nga poliisi bweragidde abo abakwatibwa n'emmundu bakubibwe ku nnyama naddala mu bikwekweto ebyo ebyokubba nga poliisi yeekengera nti abasirikale baayo bangi bayinza okukafiira mu bwekyo ne tukubuuza kiki ky'olowooza ku kiragiro kya poliisi eky'okukuba ku nnyama kiki ky'olowooza ku kiragiro kya poliisi eky'okukuba ku nnyama endowooza zammwe ku Facebook zayingiddewo dda era tutandise ne Luchamuzi Fred agambye nti kirungi nnyo naye ne poliisi eyongere amaanyi mu bukuumi bawe patrols mu buli kanyomero k'ekibuga zirawunenga ekiro naye agabbi geetaaya mu kiro nga bwe gaagala nga teri agakuba ku mukono. Zaake Ian agamba si kibi naye lwakuba oluusi bapapa okuba ekyokulabirako omusajja gwe baakuba ebbanda teyalina mmundu. Ono Hayenje Eric agamba nabo bajja kuba bamenya mateeka wabula bajjeko emmundu aba bazirina mu bukyamu. Robert Kalogo agamba Afande Kawes yalwawo dda, we don't want to hear such nonsense in the country. Munyiivu nnyo. Townshed Doreen agamba emmundu terya swaga n'olwekyo bwe bakutta it can kill innocent people. Bwe bakwata nayo n'oleeta effujjo bakukuba amasasi cause tomorrow you'll use it and kill innocent people just because of money. Mwami Kawes genda maaso iseteeka. Ye Sunday Chief Yusuf agamba bakukube ate nabo baba bayina mmundu. Songa Kananura Stephen agamba ndowooza kituufu babakube ku nnyama. Nantale Amina gwe ngendo sembyayo kati agamba nze mbuuza tewali kakodyo kalala ke basobola kukozesa nga tekakubwa ku nnyama nga tebakubye ku nnyama awo obubbi tebujja kugwa mu ggwanga bakwatibwe basobole okwogera bannaabwe nawe gye bajja emmundu ze banaaba. Nze ndaba kye kinasinga. Mwebale nnyo endowooza zammwe. Tugenda kwongera okusoma ezimu ku zo nga tetunnabakomekereza NTV akawungeze. Mu mawulire amalala akulira project egendereddwamu okulaba nga amatooke gakolebwamu ebirala eby'omugaso emanyiddwa nga Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development. Florence Muranga ababaka ba Parliament bamukwasiza poliisi lwakulemererwa kunnyonnyola mbalirira ya bukadde lusanvu ezaweebwa project eno mu mwaka gwa 2010 ne 2011. Alipoota ya Ssaababalizi w'ebitabo bya gavumenti eraga nti ensimbi zino zasaasaanyizibwa kyokka teziriiko mbalirira.
Mu mwaka gwa 2003 Pulezidenti Yoweri Museveni yagunjawo projekiti y'okutumbula okulima amatokeko okugalongoosa n'ekigendererwa eky'okutumbula ekirime kino mu disitulikiti y'e Bushenyi. Wetwogera nga projekiti eno emanyiddwa nga Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development yakakulungula emyaka 11 naye ng'okutandikibwawo kwayo tekwagoberera mateeka.
There is no legal instrument backing it. And as much as she wants to, Dr. Malanga says she's an accounting officer, she cannot be an accounting officer on a delegated function from Ministry of Finance. And then at the same time she says, my patron, I report to the president, I don't report to the minister.
We will have to come up with a very, very strong recommendation as to the existence of this PBID the way it is.
ababaka ba Parliament ku kakiiko akalondola ensimbi z'omuwi w'omusolo bategeezezza nga ensimbi za gavumenti bwe zize ziteekebwa mu projekiti eno ekintu ekikontana n'amateeka.
But the minister and the accounting officer in the ministry, they don't have control over this project. That's why it has taken a lot of money and they don't follow the right procedures in accounting for the money they get.
Olwaleero ababaka ku kakiiko kano ng'abadde bakunya abakulu okuva minisitule y'ebyensimbi era batadde ku nninga akulira projekiti eno Reverend Florence Muranga okunnyonnyola engeri gye yakozesaamu ensimbi eziri omubukadde 700 ekintu ekimulemye okunnyonnyola akakiiko. Ekya Reverend Muranga okugaana okwanukula ebibuuzo kiwaliriza ssentebe w'akakiiko kano Kasiyano Wadri okukangula ku ddoboozi kyokka kino tekirobedde Muranga kunyomola biragiro by'akakiiko.
I am going to put the witness on the oath so that whatever she tells, if it is not the truth, we will use the other angle of the law. Get me the papers and the Bible. Because this one here, I cannot joke like that.
I would rather is the only one who can deliver the country from strife, and the US president warns Museveni against signing the anti-homosexuality bill into law.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The Kampala Metropolitan Police Commander has issued a shoot-to-kill order for suspects who refuse to surrender to the police when ordered to do so. Andrew Kawesi's order comes 2 days after a group of assailants killed the officer in charge of Kajansi Police Station.
For a group of journalists this morning, the Kampala Metropolitan Police Commander Andrew Felix Kawesi issued that directive.
The police, when the police gives a warning shot and you don't stop or you don't surrender, they will shoot and kill because the law allows us to do that.
At the same briefing, Kawesi ordered the arrest of the Kajansi DPC Edison Muganzi, OCCID David Ibanda, and the Chief of Operations identified as Okumu for negligence.
But they didn't have a deployment. They did not deploy. And that one I'm not going to tolerate. They either serve or they go and dig potatoes.
Kawesi also pointed out that the free flow of guns in the country was resulting into increased thuggery and conflicts in neighboring countries, with people walking in and out freely with ammunition.
The conflicts in the regions have led to proliferation of firearms into Uganda. And that's a gradual process that we must undertake, not only as police, as institution, but government at a government level.
Over the weekend, the officer in charge of Kajansi Police Station, Joseph Birigwa, was murdered by robbers as he attempted to foil a robbery at a mobile money shop.
Very unfortunate there. Well, the youthful NRM lawmakers who urged President Museveni to stand for the presidency in 2016 in the Chankwanzi retreat say their decision was based on the lack of leaders in the NRM fold with the kind of mettle that the president possesses. The Northern Youth MP Evelyn Anite and her counterpart say Museveni is the only one who can deliver the country from strife. Maurice Ochol reports.
Vice Chairperson of the NRM Parliament.
The recent resolution by NRM members of endorsing President Museveni to stand unopposed in the 2016 presidential elections has turned the young lawmakers into heroes and villains depending on what side of the political divide one falls. The resolution is reported to have taken many senior party leaders harboring presidential ambitions by surprise. Key among those said to have such ambitions was the Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi, who was quick to deny any such plans.
It is also during
the youthful MPs who made the proposal at Chankwanzi say they did so to prevent the party from tearing apart, given the divisions among some senior members.
Because if you ask yourself, who is uniting all of us within NRM? Is a chairman, is a founder chairman. Sure. Come below that, all senior leaders within the party have conflicts amongst themselves. Yes. So, as a young leaders, we would rather say, and the main reason what motivated us honestly is how do we work with the chairman to achieve the long-term vision of NRM as a party.
The youth MP for Eastern Uganda, Peter Gwang, says the youth are currently safer with President Museveni leading the country than other leaders.
If a senior member attempts to come and cause intrigue, for us as young leaders, I want to begin exposing them, not again to wait that you're beginning to mobilize us to cause intrigue within the party. And you know Muslims were the ones who were used.
As young people who are interested in this party, not for opportunistic reasons, but for reasons that we want to build a very strong party that was formed by a very excellent leader, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
His counterpart representing Kabiramaido County, Dr. Kenneth Omona, says the plan was started way back in 2012 but only came to fruition in Chankwanzi.
We may be young, yes, but I think we hold a stake in the party and we hold a stake in this country. We may be more interested in the future than any others because our future is long and therefore we must have an interest.
These legislators maintained that their endorsement of the president was the right thing to do. They say they pulled it off to avert an emerging rift from leading the party to a collapse. Dr. Mona stresses that the president had mentioned the formation of cliques in the party as counterproductive to the NRM's cohesion and instituted a probe.
Who are involved in factionism, who are involved in cliques, who are involved in peddling intrigue among the party in trying to propel themselves in a bid to undermine the leadership of NRM for their own interests in a bid to shoot up into leadership.
If there is no party member who has come out clearly to say that we are having ambitions and what, it's not for them to say. I just want to tell you this. I don't have to move a motion to say that, give a justification that it's not all about changing leaders. I stated it very clearly that it's not about changing leaders. We had 8 leaders before President Museveni.
Though these young Turks are opposed to some senior NRM members taking over the presidency in 2016, they believe the country will be ready for a new leader in 2021. But the NRM Electoral Commission Chairman and Health Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda disagrees with this position, arguing that the party is grooming younger leaders to take over the mantle.
We would like to see this cross-generational interaction in the building of our party, in the building of our country.
There has been talk in NRM circles of a huge reward for some of these young legislators in form of ministerial appointments for pushing the president's endorsement, something they deny.
There's a problem in Uganda. Sometimes when we come up, there are two things which come first. They have been bribed, they are being used, they want to be ministers. No. For now, our vision is to make NRM as one of the strongest parties in Africa.
You cannot say that then the reason as to why I'm supporting him is because I want a position. No. First of all, positions are given by God.
It remains to be seen whether the decision of endorsing the president will indeed result in the cohesion and ultimate transformation of the country as these young party members believe. More research all NTV.
And moving on to the US, the President Barack Obama has warned President Museveni against signing the anti-homosexuality bill into law. Obama said if signed, it would create a strenuous relationship with the US, which is one of Uganda's biggest donors. However, the President's press secretary, Tamale Mirundi, says Uganda's relationship with the US was not built on its stance on homosexuality.
In December, the Speaker of Parliament offered Ugandans what was widely described as an early Christmas gift. The prospect that the President would sign the anti-gay bill into law by January brewed controversy, as insisted that he needed a scientific explanation.
Because he believed that these were sick people. But scientific research has proved that these are not sick people. Are they denying that they are not sick, they are not normal people?
In February, Valentine's Day to be specific, he got adored for finally making a decision.
I'm going to sign the bill.
But with this utterance, Museveni might as well have added something like, I am taking on President Barack Obama. On Sunday, 2 days after his announcement, the US President, who has been keeping tabs on a bill he calls odious or repulsive, expressed his disdain in a statement saying, I am so deeply disappointed that Uganda will shortly enact legislation that would criminalize homosexuality. It will be a step backward for all Ugandans and reflect poorly on Uganda's commitment to protecting the human rights of its people.
To assemble means you come together to agitate for something good or valuable to society. You cannot assemble to talk about homosexuality when people don't even want to hear about it. So these are issues. The president cannot be intimidated. In fact, what I've been working with the president for 11 years. If you want to get anything from the president, you negotiate with him. You show your stronger points of your side.
Obama's statement further reads, this legislation will complicate our valued relationship with Uganda.
We can do without that age.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Every support
yes,
we
yes.
get, HIV,
yes.
almost everything.
Yes. For instance, I asked you that if the Americans tell us that in order to give you aid, all of the women in Uganda should go naked, would I accept? To me, it's a question of understanding, not aid. They don't say that the practice is good. Do you realize this? Nobody in Europe is saying that this practice is good, and none of them practice it. All of the American presidents are comfortably married.
Susan Rice, President Barack Obama's national security advisor, in a tweet also said, spoke at length with President Museveni last night, urging him not to sign anti-LGBT bill. Among some of the responses to her and Mr. Obama from some anti-gay Ugandans and people elsewhere, Obama was encouraged to first get homosexuality approved in the whole of America before fighting it in other countries.
I have not seen an agreement political between Uganda and another European country based on its commitment to protection of homosexuals. And the homosexuals are going to be protected, but not exhibition, not parading. I don't think single marriages, not recruiting our younger children into this practice.
Besides, Museveni saw this coming.
We shall have a war with the homosexual lobby in the world, but backed by these people, and you, we go back to the world.
The controversial bill, which has put Uganda in the bad books of America and some other pro-gay nations, was first introduced in Parliament by Ndora West MP David Bahati through a private member's bill in 2009. Like Russia and Nigeria, which just signed a law against homosexuals, Uganda has become known as the worst place to be gay, even when there is no conviction. Florence Salimba, NTV.
And those are the headlines we had for you this Tuesday morning. We now return to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop to Brian, Joel and Simon for the press review.
It's the 18th day of February 2014. It's a wonderful Tuesday morning, and yes, we are back at it, morning at NTV, with the headlines that have appeared in today's dailies. And we don't have any other daily other than the Daily Monitor, which always and is fitted to give you truth every day. This morning, wonderful headline picture of the Purple Nuncio, and the caption is, the Purple Nuncio praises Uganda. The Purple Nuncio is the diplomatic representation of the Holy See in any given country, and Uganda is one of those. So our Purple Nuncio in Uganda, Archbishop Mike Augusto Bloom, an American, is all over the moon praising Uganda. And back to it, we have Obama, the president of the USA, an American president, warning President Yoweri Museveni on gays. Quite a travesty on the front page of the Daily Monitor. And of course, to dissect all of these and many more stories, the usual suspects, Joel Senyonyi, Brian Molondo. What do you make of the Daily Monitor front page? Two Americans saying two different things.
I guess it's a kind of contradiction, because when you see the president, who is clearly Democrat, and they believe in all the liberties for everyone, saying there's going to be repercussions, but the father, Papa Nuncio, also saying this is good for Uganda, and does the church, is there literally a separation of church and the state in the US?
Well, this one is probably saying what he's told to say. But you see, I think Obama needs to give us a break.
Let's make a clarification here. These two Americans are not talking about the same thing. The message is not for the same thing. The Papa Nuncio is praising Uganda. This was during celebrations to mark 135 years of the Catholic faith in this country, and possibly praising Uganda could have been along the premise of allowing Christianity and all that. On the other hand, President Obama is cascading President Yoweri Museveni and warning him against signing that so-called anti-homosexuality bill. Joel.
Obama needs to give us a break, and soon enough. Look, there's many states in the US that have very stringent anti-homosexuality legislation. Alaska, Mississippi, South Dakota, South Carolina, etc., etc. And here he is spitting fire, telling us what to do as if we are little boys. But again, I keep saying, you know, if we want to escape the, the obvious hegemony, the obvious preponderance of the US, we need to grow up. and especially economically. For as long as we do not do that, and people keep saying, you see, we are a third world country, and so we still need aid and that kind of thing. How did the rest make it? If we put to very good use the little money in our coffers, we would not be having all these issues. We would be fairly independent and would call the shots here.
Brian, President Obama says if Museveni signs this bill, it will further complicate the already treasured relationship between the two countries.
The economic
How
ones.
complicated would this relation be, in your view?
Well, I think the relationship will never be compromised. The truth is, Obama won't do a thing. Are
you daring him?
I'm daring him. I'm daring Obama.
He's bluffing, you mean?
But I also think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or challenge me, I think this was not just a passing of the bill based on morality of Uganda.
But let's face
I
it.
think it's the 2016 move.
Well, let's also face it, that there are some Ugandans who are saying that President Museveni and those agitating for such a bill to be in place are really putting the cart before the horse. That in fact, people there is no need for legislation against this. There should be sensitization. And one of these people who hold such a view is the head of the Foundation for Human Rights Initiative.
But you see, good legislation should come with sensitization. If you're going to have,
no, I'm sure the same Livingston is soon about to tell us that, you know.
But you see, we certainly need to do a lot of sensitization. People need to know what's going on, and especially young people, because many of them get conscripted therein. They don't know exactly.
Ugandan scientists, if you've taken care to read their report, which I have, they had a lot of references from American scholars.
Right.
So clearly they could have been Ugandan doctors by way of nationality.
The bill or the assenting?
Well, they are assenting to the bill for President Museveni. But then the Daily Monitor is reporting that President Museveni may score at home, but he will certainly lose internationally. A very interesting story coming in from the Daily Monitor this morning. We have a presidential advisor who was detained by the Parliamentary Oversight Committee, Public Accounts Committee, over failure. He can account for one or two monies left, right and center. He says, I would rather lose my job. And let me quote, I would rather lose my job than touch the Bible. End of quote. I would rather go to prison. I respect my Lord so much that I cannot swear with the Bible. I'll be taking a risk. Now this sounds more like some people who say they are so God-fearing that they fear the presence of the Lord in church. They never go to church. You're a reverend and you cannot touch a Bible to swear. This is a very interesting story playing out in the Daily Monitor this morning.
Well, I think she's trying to be Assistant Holy Spirit or something of the sort. No. You see, swearing with the Bible is to ensure that, okay, now what you're going to tell us is the truth, and
nothing but the truth and all the truth.
You know, and you answer for that. Seriously, because you see, in Uganda, we have mastered the art of telling lies all through. A friend of mine was on a taxi to Ntinda, and along the way, somebody picked a call and said, I'm coming, I'm here in Weyogedede. Another one picked a call and said, Nansana, give me 5 minutes. Another one said, I think Bugolovi. Now there was a Musei at the back who got confused. He shouted and said, driver, where exactly are we?
Where is it that's exactly going?
You know, I think the Reverend refusing to use even the Bible is a telling sign for many things.
Now we are finding it interesting that when you go to the Public Accounts Committee, we are used to seeing fat government technocrats who hold the titles of doctor, Mr., Professor. But now when you have reverends being arrested for, among other things, failure to hold a Bible.
But I think she should cooperate. I actually found it a little disturbing. She should cooperate with the committee, give them information they need and that kind of thing, you know. Because from the look of things, even though she's not guilty, she looks like she's guilty because the guilty ran before their chase. And I'm really not, you know, cutting it and finishing it for her, but the way it happens.
Never really. This particular plantation of Kinyara doesn't seem to have a break from many things, yeah?
Just fire, like backyard and the rest.
Absolutely.
You were saying
well, Dr. Kiza commanding President Yoweri Museveni to withdraw our army from Southern Sudan. Now the question is, why? To know that, get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor.
Right. There's something that I've read, you know, following the death of the DPC at Kajansi, who was gunned down by robbers. The police has issued a shoot to kill notice. And if they tell you stop and you refuse, you're gunned down.
But people should stop. Of course, there's the other bit of many times some of these police officers rather are trigger happy, you know. They get people, they are clobbering them, you've already arrested them. But for some of these thugs, yeah, I think we need to put them out of action. But,
well,
but again,
not
we have to be very careful with
not
it.
Even thugs, not even thugs. Yesterday, in the morning after this show, I had a little traffic altercation somewhere in Buya, where this army guy, a private, refused to stop at the behest of an assistant superintendent of police, traffic police. The guy created a second lane, blocking traffic that was going to the other direction. And when this policeman tried to accost him, this soldier seemed to rubbish him off. And then he had an obstinate and insolent passenger who I suspect is a female MP. I took their pictures on my iPhone, and I'll be sharing them with you tomorrow morning on how insolent some people who wear a uniform can get to others.
So those ones should be shot as well?
Absolutely, such a guy should be shot. Well, for you, the young people who have not yet gone to school but would love to get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor, the Rainbow magazine, your favorite pullout, is in there.
Yeah.
Do we have anything more in next magazine, or you want to take us to the sports pages?
Sports, and of course, Mourinho, well, insinuating a couple of days ago.
You're saying it with a lot of gusto.
Yes, I was really taken aback. But Mourinho saying that Wenger is, well, 9 years without a trophy is definitely, especially start losing. But a day later, Mourinho loses a game, and Wenger takes the game. But Wenger has hit back, and is saying that I do not want to go into that silly, disrespectful remark.
Well, there we are with the usual bad talk in the English Premier League. The next magazine of the Daily Monitor is featuring none other than the glamour and the glitz of Tycoon Sudhir Paderia's daughter to her ball. That's what you get when you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. This brings us to the end of our press review this morning. Let's be back with a big story. It's morning at NTV.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset. How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Marriage is tough, but you suck it up and you stick through the good times and the bad times. What kind of example are you setting for your sister who is about to walk down the aisle herself?
Shut up. Mandy, seriously, you just keep poking and poking at other people's relationships. You're like a cancer.
Auntie, I hope you're discussing fashion. Because you have everything under control, yes? And the only crisis we're going to have is you clashing with the red carpet.
We've made mistakes. And that's what marriage is all about. Mistakes and forgiveness. For better or for worse.
I'm sorry, but I've got to ask. Nothing happened between me and Usha.
Well, Lulu is not here, and if she comes, I'll tell her you. You picked the wrong person to mess with, Lucy.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
how? I
went to the nurse and asked why. Why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive?
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombi ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo lwe bakookeza. Nazeepoza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokeza.
Kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette.
The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
I'm gonna blow your mind and I'm gonna twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. very lovely, very appetizing, very powerful. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
You don't have any way to prove it, darling.
Andre Gurgel oversaw all the steps of my designs.
You mean you spent the very last of the money I had in this country? Now how am I supposed to get myself out of the mess you put me in, you imbecile?
Can't imagine what else you would possibly have to say to me about Leonardo.
No, I wanted to talk to you about Armando.
Well, I'm sure they truly care for each other. It's easy for anyone to see that. And besides, they've been together for a very long time now.
Want to have lunch?
I do, but I need to wake up first. It's too early to think about lunch. I didn't even have breakfast yet.
Listen to me, Horatio Cortez. And you learn that no man will ever dump me.
I can smell that liquor on your breath.
Because I've been drinking.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Thank you for still watching NTV, Morning at NTV. Remember, you can be part of the show. Do send an SMS to 6565. Follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at Morning at NTV. And please go and like our Facebook page, Morning at NTV. We have lots of posts there for you about the show. We now return to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop to Simon for the big story.
And for the big story this morning, the 18th day of February 2014, we are looking at very deadly scenarios that are playing out in our universities. Now let me take you back to some of the bad stories that we received from universities over the recent past. In 2010, one David Musunga, third-year student of mass communication at Kampala International University, was stabbed to death by his girlfriend. Moses Okwonga, a master's student at KIU, says the boy was killed by his girlfriend identified as Jen. Now let's remember that last year 3 university students were involved in a sex tape that was released on social media and whose resulting story was published in many of the dailies in this country. A student at Uganda Christian University Mukono committed suicide last year by setting herself on fire. And let's also remember that a Jambo, who had returned home, this is the name of the student, to check on her bedridden relatives, committed this grotesque crime upon herself. Now in 2012, Liz Waluga, a second-year student of social work and social administration at UCU, the Mbale campus, committed suicide in the same manner over a soured relationship with a lover. Question is, what's happening at our universities? What's happening to those innocent little girls and boys we send to university as our children, only for them to get in there and turn into something of criminals? To discuss this interesting development, we've got the Director of Student Affairs at Uganda Christian University. You remember him, the Reverend Milton Tweyo, the man who issued that statement upon the release of
affairs at Uganda Christian University. These students, when parents are sending their children, to university, they don't at all foresee
disaster like that. They send their children knowing that the children will go and study, and they will, the parents will go there for their graduation. So it's very sad that, all this has been happening in on different campuses.
Let's look at our education system, Reverend Tweheyo. We've got situations where in primary school, children are under the direct stewardship of their parents at home. They've got secondary school, it's quite close. It's really a dictatorial 6 years in there. And bang, they arrive at the university and the gates are open. It's freedom like they've never seen before. Could it be shock and awe of a newfound freedom that sometimes leads these university students to indulge perhaps in overdose?
Yeah, certainly. I agree with you very, very much. Yeah, by the time that most of the children come to university, they have not yet learned how to handle freedom.
What are you talking about? These are already above 18.
Yes, they are. They are. But
this is the age when you're supposed to cast the vote and determine who becomes the next president of this country. How can you not be able to handle some kind of freedom?
You see, some of them, their parents, they are used to being taken to school right from P1 up to senior 6.
Pampered.
You may call it that.
You are passing the buck to the parents that this is possibly a result of poor parenting?
Partly. Partly.
To what extent?
I think to a significant extent.
How significant is significant?
Yeah, because if we don't, parenting is very, very significant as we bring up, our children. Helping them to know how to handle different situations. How to handle restrictive situations, how to handle, a lot of freedom.
But all this you can talk, just like we get you, Reverend, speaking every Sunday, telling us the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not fornicate. But these are crimes that are happening on a daily. So to what extent can parents register success in preaching to their children how to meet and wade through different situations?
But how many parents have time for their children to sit and talk about real life issues?
Where they have enough time to go and make the money so they can pay you, Reverend Milton, and your ilk to look after their children. Do you do your part as university or school administrators?
Yeah, we certainly do our part. But you see,
what
by
part
the time,
do you do other than expelling these students and issuing very high-handed statements that are on the board of denying that these crimes actually happen?
No, it's not wise to live in denial. Yeah, no.
Are you saying that to me, Reverend Tweheyo Milton?
Yes, we don't live in denial.
So you accept that this sex step, for example, that we saw playing out on social media and in some mainstream media was actually a scene played out by the Uganda Christian University students?
Yes, by the time they were involved in that, they were not our university. They were not yet our university students. But by the time it came out, they were already our students. That's why I came out and owned it. I said, look here, these are my students.
Since then, what has happened at UCU with regard to ensuring that such cases do not play out in the future, apart from expelling the otherwise perceived to be bad apples?
No, we don't expel. We don't so easily expel. We expel, extremes. We believe in transformation. We believe in transformation. And that's what we have done to different, students that are involved in different, such issues. We believe these can change. They can change because we believe in a God who transforms. And so we want them to change. We can use policy, to punish them. Yeah, punish them, maybe suspend them for some time, or, do what policy requires us to do.
Compared to other universities of your ilk, Uganda Christian University is stated to be one of those that tries so hard to inculcate, some kind of high-level discipline amongst the students. Well, maybe through your very stringent rules, but to what extent do your stringent rules operate outside the university campus?
Well, outside the university campus, I don't, what we try to instill in them, responsible lifestyle. But, when they go out, we cannot police them.
You are answerable to their parents. A parent will walk up to you meet all your needs, and hand you over their wonderful daughter or son. What do you say to a parent whose daughter or son has been murdered by a stranger in their hostel room, God forbid? What do you tell such a parent when they come to pick their son's body from you as a university, to whom they handed an alive child without any scar to them?
You see, by the time these children come to us, as you said earlier on, they are above 18. They are above 18, and in human development, they are no longer in their formative years. You know, their lives are already formed. Some of what went wrong is very difficult to correct at that time. It only takes God in His own power to transform the life of such a person. We play our part as people who have been given that responsibility. And the parents know that. And university is a life of freedom. There is no, you cannot say, I will make sure this person doesn't go out at this time, doesn't come in at this time, because they are mature. Everybody is considered to be mature. To know that the decisions they make are the decisions that they should be able to own.
Well, you as a university
and defend.
You as a university operate within the territorial boundary called Uganda. Uganda has got law enforcement agencies. To what extent does the university administration and the state's law enforcement agencies cooperate to ensure that there is safety of students and there is an observance of basic decorum and behavior?
Yeah, of course we have a police station on campus. And you know, we have fence and gates and all that. You know, you can close somebody in at a particular hour. But you see, a human being is a human being.
But that's already the defeatist.
So when they get out, when you say we close at midnight, beyond midnight we don't have, you know, somebody who wants to go out and live the kind of life they choose to live, there is no way this gate is going to have, you know, to help them.
Well, again, indeed, you are perhaps one of the most strict with regard to discipline amongst the universities of your ilk in this country. But do you have an inter-university discussion amongst yourselves as directors of student affairs, deans of students, to ensure that you have almost a uniform code of conduct across all universities? Because you're not going to remain the only little beacon of hope in a sea of rotten apples across, you know, surrounding you.
Well, we have a dean's forum.
What does that dean's forum do, other than sitting in conferences, sitting?
No, we compare notes. We look at how we should handle student affairs, you know, on our campuses and all that. But it is absolutely impossible to have uniform, you know, code of conduct. Yeah, because different universities have, you know, different principles and what they stand for. So public universities have their own way of doing things. You know, private universities that are, you know, kind of secular have their own way of doing things. And then the, you know, the Christian universities also have their own way of doing things. Islamic universities have their own way of doing things. So it is absolutely impossible to have, you know, uniform code of conduct.
Yeah, but
we
there must
compare
be a
notes,
certain
we
standard
encourage
below
each other.
which you cannot fall. For example, if a student is expelled from Makerere University, would they find it easy to be admitted at UCU? Or do you gag them against the principle that they could have come with a lot of unresolved bad manners that they tend to distribute across the university?
Yeah, that's what we are trying to do in our forum. If we know, if you have expelled somebody and you know that person is potentially dangerous or something like that.
So you put a terror alert, so to speak.
You know, you alert your friend. You alert your friend. Somebody is coming to you, but he's like this. So you get to know how to handle him if you must take him on.
Perhaps some people will argue that that strong, almost hardline Christian belief of trying to subject people to the, you know, to the confines of the Ten Commandments is perhaps not good enough. It keeps students pretentious, so that when they get out, they're extremely in dire need to explore what the world has got to offer. Perhaps others will argue that you need to loosen up as the Christian University of Mukono so that students can have some of these amenities, a good club in the university, a little bar somewhere, so they can get exposed to what life has to offer them, so they don't get excited when they go out and find these things.
I don't think we are that, you know, restrictive.
You should allow relationships, for example, to blossom at the university. If someone gets pregnant along the way, don't expel them, but, you know, talk to them.
No, but, you know, one thing, you know, Mr. Moderator, that you must understand is, you know, we have Christian principles that we must promote. And we are not ready to compromise on them. We are not ready to compromise on them. But there is a lot of freedom. Our students have freedom, a lot of freedom. They relate. You know, many have fallen in love on campus and have ended up getting married. But we help them to know how to handle their relationship responsibly.
Talking about relationships and with the current trending debate on homosexuality, how is this vice of homosexuality or this issue called homosexuality handled at Uganda Christian University Mukono? For I'm sure it is not an alien subject to you.
Yeah, we condemn it as much as we condemn any other sexual sin. Yeah, because before God, all sexual sins are the same. So we don't single out one and say we are going to condemn this one and leave out the other one. You know, the way we condemn, you know, all sin is the way we condemn homosexuality, and we don't expect it, you know, to find
its way.
Yeah. Well, find its way. That would be. I don't want to be, you know, but I want to say it's not entertained on campus, and if we identify it, we deal with it. The way we've been dealing with other sexual sins.
What would you do to students who confess to be homosexual at Uganda Christian University?
We haven't yet had one.
That's why I said if.
So we would deal with them the way we deal with the.
You're simply saying you would expel them.
We'll cross the bridge when we get there.
Cross the bridge indeed when we get there. It's about time I take you to my Simon Says of this wonderful conversation with Dr. Milton Tueheyo, the Director of Student Affairs at Uganda Christian University. Or Reverend.
Yeah.
I always have this slip of the tongue when I see Reverend. I imagine the next is Doctor, especially given your long CV where you trained at the Wheaton Theological College in the United States, at the Cornhill Training Center in the UK, and of course Uganda Christian University, Mukono, and Makerere University in Kampala. Thanks a lot for joining us for the big story. We'll be right back. For the most part, parenting is the role of parents. But in Africa, as they say, a village raises a child. And who is part of this village? It is you, it is me, it's the school administrators, it's everybody that gets in touch with our children to ensure that they inculcate in them those morals that will make them responsible citizens. Now the challenge is, we as adults, or we as members of the village, are not responsible citizens, so to speak. For the most part, many of us are all the things that are wrong. How do we expect to be wrong adults or do you expect to get right children when we are wrong adults? So I think the charity of being good and being the right citizens starts with us, for us to expect the same of our children. If that doesn't happen, we'll continue to read all these horrendous reports coming in from our schools, our universities, and all the other places where our children congregate, ostensibly to get knowledge, but end up losing their lives. That's Simon Says for this morning. Let me hand you over to my friend Brian Mulondo Morning at NTV to take you yet through another segment that's very interesting. Those of you who are movie lovers, this is the time you shouldn't release that buckle or flip that remote, for Brian has got an interesting package with regard to a film festival that is out to share with you. We'll be right back.
Well, thank you so much, Simon, over there. And starting today, we're going to have what we call the European Union African Film Festival. If you're a movie lover, if you're a filmmaker, if you are a critic of film, this is going to be a power-packed week for you, because there's lots of movies to watch. And I'm very privileged this morning to host Anna Karine Platon, the Deputy Ambassador at the European Union. The sun is just coming up over your building, and it's very beautiful. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I'm also very privileged to host one of the tallest men in, I think, in the diplomatic corps, the ambassador of Germany, Klaus-Dieter Dixman.
That's perfect.
Ja,
Thank you
guten
very much.
Morgen.
Guten Morgen. Wie geht's?
Ah, danke, danke. Sehr gut, sehr gut. I'm trying to show off that I know some German.
Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds very good.
Yeah. So, first of all, tell us about the African Film Festival, the EU African Festival. What is it about?
Well, it starts tomorrow, actually, with the opening at 7 o'clock. We are showing a Danish movie, which won the Best Foreign Film in Oscars. And then it goes on for a week from the 19th to the 26th. And this is really a European Africa movie film festival, because we are showing European films, African films. We are showing short movies produced by the East African training school Maisha Film Lab.
Okay.
And we are also showing special youth screenings.
What's that about, the youth screening?
It's selected films for youth, and it's every day, 11 o'clock in the weekdays and 1:30 in the weekends. And it's both African and European and short and long movies for specifically selected for youth. So we hope that school teachers who see this will bring their classes for a nice culture exchange and a nice outing.
Right. Why did you decide to do something like this? Is it something that has always happened, first of all? Why did you decide to work with filmmakers in East Africa?
We think that film is a very important way of engaging in mutual understanding, culture exchange, and it's a door opener for anyone who is interested in European and African culture. So we thought this was a very good opportunity to engage with the Ugandan and the Kampala citizens.
What are some of the major differences, in African films? Some people say when they're watching an African film, they know right from the start that this movie is going to end like this. Is that why one of the reasons that you also came on board to help make sure that Africans produce better quality movies?
I think the reason for doing this, as has been said, is, well, there are quite a number of them. I think a major reason is, well, to promote dialogue between the two continents. I mean, we have situations in Africa as well as in Europe that seem to be the same.
Yes.
You have exceptional situations where a relative passes away, where your business goes bankrupt, things happen, you're a refugee all of a sudden. But the interesting question is, how do people go about these situations? And this may be very different in Europe as compared to Africa. And in order to promote understanding, also to learn from each other. We may learn from each other, how to go about this. And so I think this is, and we may learn some very interesting messages here. But there's also this other aspect of promoting the film industry here. As Anna Karin has pointed out, well, there's a program in place where the European Union promotes filmmaking, and the productions that we will see at the film festival, I think most of them are co-productions, with the support of the European Union. But another aspect is, as I see it, you have so many places in the world that have film festivals. I mean, in Berlin, for example, where I come from, the Berlinale, as it's called, it just ended last week, I think. You have the Cannes Film Festival in France.
I think that's one of the most popular ones.
It is, and it has a lot of glamour. And now, having lived in Kampala here for more than 3 years, we also see the efforts of the executive of the city of Kampala to kind of give Kampala a new image. And I think to add a film festival, an internationally acclaimed film festival, I think would also add to the status of Kampala. So there's a number of reasons, and we'll actually look forward. It has been an exciting experience to prepare and coordinate among ourselves, and in the course of discussion, of course, many new ideas, fresh ideas came up, not only coordinating among ourselves, of course, with our Ugandan friends and counterparts, and so we're all very excited and look actually forward to tomorrow night, to the opening of the festival.
Right. Well, if you're just joining us, we just taking some time off with Anna Karin Platon, the Deputy Ambassador of the European Union, and the Germany Ambassador to Uganda, here with us on Morning at NTV, and they're sharing with us the upcoming film festival as the European Union and African Film Festival, which is starting on the 19th to the 26th of February 2014. Please make sure that you catch it, especially if you're planning to be maybe someone in the filmmaking industry. I also want to do a short film this year, so I'm definitely going to come. What are some of the opportunities there? If I'm aspiring, am I going to interact with some of the filmmakers from Europe? Are there opportunities like that?
There are definitely opportunities for mixing with filmmakers and culture, especially Ugandans.
Yes.
And then, of course, also, like I mentioned before, the Maisha Film Lab, which is a training school for African aspiring filmmakers, which you could actually participate in their in their film labs, which are sponsored by the EU. And I would also like to add that it's at the La Bonita Theatre here in Kampala.
All right. Well, make your way there, and I just have a very beautiful design here with the stool of the director. Most of us, when we get into this production, this is one of the stools they put there in front of you, and they say, you aspire to get into this chair. This is what the artwork looks like. Make sure that you get over there, Theatre La Bonita, and the screening times are weekdays from 4:30 p.m., 7 p.m., 9:30 p.m., and on the weekend, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. And of course, they'll be having special youth screenings on weekdays, 1:30 p.m. to 11 a.m. So please make sure that you attend, and maybe you never know, you may be one of Africa's biggest film producer after this. Away from the film festival, what other things is the European Union and of course the German embassy giving to Ugandans? We hear that there's lots of scholarships for and opportunities like that for Ugandans that want to go and study or work in the European Union.
Well, speaking for Germany, of course, we provide scholarships, actually provide scholarships every year through an organization called the German Academic Exchange Service.
Right.
And they have been active in the country here for 40 years now. And every year we provide 25 scholarships plus PhD scholarships and so on. So that's a very popular program. And we're very happy to see the interest that is being taken in these. And just before the show, we too spoke about, well, connections between Uganda and Germany. And as I said, you attended one of the schools where the German language is being taught. And actually we have 9 of these schools in the country here. And the interest for the German language is actually growing. As you know, we have a cultural institute in Kampala here, the Goethe Center as it is called. And the number of learners, of students is actually growing. So there's a great interest there.
So there's people learning the
and
the language.
The same is true, of course, for the French and the British Council here. And I think coming back to the film festival, that's also one of the purposes of this film festival, to raise interest in other cultures. But on the 26th of February, the film festival will be over. But the cultural institutes are still there.
Yes.
So if people take an interest and a continuing interest, they just can go to the institutes and then well, continue their research, you know. But well, in terms of scholarships, as I said, well, this is an annual thing, and whoever is interested, just turn to the embassy and we will give. I'm not talking about all the other things we are doing here as Germany, as the European Union. Maybe that's the topic for another show.
We'll get another. And also engage on, especially when it comes to business, how we can be engaged with the European Union. Check out the Facebook page, Euro-African Kampala Film Festival. Go there, get more details of the film festival coming up. If you're a filmmaker, this is an opportunity for you to get started. Go to Euro-African Kampala Film Festival like the page, and ask any questions that you have. I think you before we leave, you should teach, you're from Sweden, you should teach us how they greet in Sweden. We are trying to learn some culture here. How do you greet in Sweden?
Välkommen.
Willkommen.
Yes, very nice.
Oh, that's like German.
Yes, it's quite similar.
That's good morning. How do you say good morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. And sir, how do you greet in German?
Ja, in German we would say Guten Morgen. Ich freue mich, hier bei Ihnen zu sein.
I'm very happy to be here.
Und bedanke mich für die Einladung zu dieser wundervollen
Thank you
Show
so
bei
much for the
NTV.
opportunity to be here on NTV.
You see, his German is perfect.
All right, please make sure that you go to the Facebook page, Euro African Kampala Film Festival, and get more details of the film festival. Thank you so much. They are good, they are good, they are good.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Okay, and we'll catch you in a couple of minutes with the traffic report, everyday life, and an update on the sports world with Ismail. Good morning.
Marriage is tough, but you suck it up and you stick through the good times and the bad times. What kind of example are you setting for your sister who is about to walk down the aisle herself?
Shut up, Nandi. Seriously, you just keep poking and poking at other people's relationships. You're like a cancer.
Ati, I hope you're discussing fashion. Because you have everything under control, yes? And the only crisis you're going to have is you clashing with the red carpet.
We've met mystics. And that's what marriage is all about. Mistakes and forgiveness. For better or for worse.
I'm sorry, but I've got to ask.
Nothing happened between me and Lucia.
Well, Lulu is not here, and if she comes, I'll let her know you. You picked the wrong person to mess with, Lucia.
Gabriela is trapped in a collapsing mine, and she is rescued by Alejandro, and underneath the rubble, they fell in love.
Beautiful and iron-willed.
I told you 1,000 times not to put your hands on me! Your mom working in a mine is nothing for you to be ashamed of. In fact, you should be very proud of it, honey.
But her destiny will be marked. Alejandro's ambitious mother becomes her worst enemy.
She was cast into prison, and all that she was left with was her memories of her son. And the woman. Now, she has to forge a way to revenge on the other side.
oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa abekika era bulala basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagende mu Lukola eyo inakasongola mu Buluri twagende mu Butale babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde palamenti muyise bosi basajja
omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli eno ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo
tobeera mu ssuuti ate n'oteeka mu gganduula
olina kubeerako kimu
kubanga okusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina
nakulabira abaganda baagala kabaka
Marriage is tough, but you suck it up and you stick through the good times and the bad times. What kind of example are you setting for your sister who is about to walk down the aisle herself?
Shut up, Nandi. Seriously, you just keep poking and poking at other people's relationships. You're like a cancer.
Ati, I hope you're discussing fashion. Because you have everything under control, yes? And the only crisis you're going to have is you clashing with the red carpet.
We've met mystics. And that's what marriage is all about. Mistakes and forgiveness. For better or for worse.
I'm sorry, but I've got to ask.
Nothing happened between me and Lucia.
Well, Lulu is not here, and if she comes, I'll let her know you. You picked the wrong person to mess with, Lucia.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
The average age of the international team is under 18.
The primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
The players haven't put on they haven't wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
You don't have any way to prove it, darling.
Andre Gurgel oversaw all the steps of my designs.
You mean you spent the very last of the money I had in this country? Now how am I supposed to get myself out of the mess you put me in, you imbecile?
Can't imagine what else you would possibly have to say to me about Leonardo.
No, I wanted to talk to you about Armando.
Well, I'm sure they truly care for each other. It's easy for anyone to see that. And besides, they've been together for a very long time now.
Want to have lunch?
I do, but I need to wake up first. It's too early to think about lunch. I didn't even have breakfast yet.
Listen to me, Horatio Cortez. And you learn that no man will ever dump me.
Gabriela is trapped in a collapsing mine, and she is rescued by Alejandro, and underneath the rubble, they fell in love.
Beautiful and iron-willed.
I told you 1,000 times not to put your hands on me! Your mom working in a mine is nothing for you to be ashamed of. In fact, you should be very proud of it, honey.
But her destiny will be marked. Alejandro's ambitious mother becomes her worst enemy.
She was cast into prison, and all that she was left with was her memories of her son. And the woman. Now, she has to forge a way to revenge on the other side. You're watching Morning at NTV.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. This is Morning at NTV. It's 7 minutes after 8 o'clock. And today, we are just, there's a lot of stuff, you know, I'm really being distracted here because it's a bit high. So I'm not a builder, so but for the sake of you, I am willing to risk my life, and you know, it's really, the worst case scenario would be me falling into the pool, so I'll take all the risk. But if we could have just a beautiful shot over there, the traffic here at Chintu Road, the cars are really moving slowly. If you can just pan that camera slowly, and get some of the cars there, you can see a motoka zitambula mpola on Chintu Road, and yes, you can see the border guys going through. Everyone is busy, cars are going to work. And now, if wherever you are, if you're stuck, please be our traffic reporter. Actually, the ambassador earlier said this is not a traffic report, it's a traffic jam report. So if you're stuck in traffic, let us know. You can send that picture to Morning at NTV. Now I want to quickly cross over to Twitter and check out some of your messages. Remember, our Twitter handle is Morning at NTV, and let us know what you think about this show. What should we improve on the show? If you missed earlier, we had a representative from UCU talking about how the university is, you know, what the university is doing to make sure that the standards are kept. Simon Kasiate was doing that. In case you want to get this particular show, you can go to youtube.com/NTVUganda and get those updates. Now, Matal Babash was also answering the question of the day, and we have another message from Elsie Muha. Let's not fear and respect our values. There's no complication. Another message, of course, most of you have retweeted a lot of posts. Lucy Lu, Naboth Mula, and a couple of guys following us on our Twitter. Yahweh Andrew Chigongo, thank you so much retweeting there. And we have also Jacob also saying that, guys, you are awesome. And thank you so much for waking us up every morning. Well, I'll cross over to Mabel at the NTV studios to tell us more about what you're saying on Facebook. Mabel.
Happy birthday to you.
Now, for your birthdays today, Evelyn Nakayenze from Gulu University sent in a message, a text message, and we are very grateful. Remember, we love to celebrate with you as you share your birthdays with us. The line is 6565. You can also tweet us at morning@NTV and or send us a message on Facebook. We shall now move over. Lydia also as well was born this day. Happy birthday, Lydia. And we also have Tusime Jolly, who was born this day. Happy birthday, Jolly. Today, 18th of February. Thank you all for your messages. We shall now move to see the messages on Facebook. Now, this is our Facebook page. And if you have not been here, I do not know what you're waiting for. This is our lovely Facebook page, and we don't want you to just come and say, oh, it's a nice page, I like it. No, 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 no. We want you to actually click the like button, and as you can see there, the like button has been clicked. And to some of your messages here, we do have this exciting offer of the HTC. Another first here, you can be that lucky winner of that phone. Just want to show you how beautiful the phone actually is. If you are a doubting Thomas out there and you're wondering, is that phone really there? Yes, we have loads of phones to give away. So do get to our Facebook page. Who knows, if you are our, let me see how many likes we have now. We have 4,529 likes. So if you are the 500,000th like, you never know, you may actually win a phone. To some of your messages now, we have Innocent here saying, whoa, good morning, good at NTV. G Mukama says, good morning, morning at NTV. For me, I'm just here. And we also have Chef Yusuf saying good morning, morning at NTV. Some people giving us answers to their question, to the question we had asked. And some comments here on the big story. Precious says, parents are to blame, charity starts at home. That is referring to the big story with Simon and the Reverend Milton Tweheyo, who is the Director of Student Affairs at Uganda Christian University. Simon Chigongo says, film shows have lied to many of the students. Everything is done by copying, talking about the behavior of students. Another picture of the phone here, the HTC Desire 300 could be yours. And we also have some messages regarding the press review that we had earlier with Joel Senyonyi. Mwesiga Makafrika says the show is a great way to begin a bright morning. And then Boaz Mwine says he is enjoying the show. Remember, our question of the day was, which Egyptian president was ousted from power during the Arab uprising in 2011? Be among the first 5 people to get the right answer, and you will be able to win one of those beautiful mugs that I don't have here in the studio, but are on the rooftop. Going back to some of your messages, I can show you how beautiful our page is. Oh yeah, someone here, Anne Megan, has accepted our invitation to morning at NTV. That's a great one. Never know, she will be able to win some of the phones that we have available. And I love my NTV. I'm sure you do love your NTV as well. Someone says here, Joseph Bayo, morning at NTV is just untouchable. Guys, make the band a daily issue. And Mabel, tell Brian that the HTC phone is worthy to be mine. And Joseph says, greetings to all friends and you people, keep going. We have Okim Godwin saying, Brian, I need that HTC One phone. I am eager to win it. Okello Dennis says, morning at NTV is completely unavoidable. It's a great way to start a new day. Now, those are the messages we could get through, but do keep sending us your messages. Go to our Facebook page and like it. We now return to Everyday Life at the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop with Brian.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. 15 after 8 o'clock. Welcome to Everyday Life. This is one of my most favorite segments of the show. A time when we get to improve you, what you're about, and make sure that whatever you're set to do on the day, you can make sure that it turns out well. Now, yesterday I unleashed a very beautiful gadget, which was the HTC One. Now, I have some great news. Some of you have been inboxing me, so I'm going to block some of you on Facebook, and I've unfollowed some of you on Twitter. But you want to win the HTC. Now, I bring you, ladies and gentlemen, the HTC Desire 300. Now, remember, Everyday Life is powered by HTC, and you can see this beautiful phone. All white, white and black, which is my favorite colors. HTC Desire 300, and you will get an opportunity to win that today. Bananga Kasim Mukalaba, I don't know, let me first switch it on. Man, I want this phone for my, self, and it's really a beautiful phone, has all the awesome colors, silver and blue, really, and the camera is fantastic. Let me in fact first take one of the cameramen here. The cameraman touch him. Man, this camera, awesome. And the camera is awesome. You can also do, it has a double camera here and at the front. So if you're WhatsApping or Facebook or Skyping, you can do the reversals. You can take a selfie. You can just pull an Obama and take one of these. And take with the HTC Desire 300. If you want this phone, if you want to buy it, you can head over to Forest Mall and at the HTC shop and take that phone with you. But on the show, we are going to give you an opportunity to win this phone. And I tell you, the questions are very simple. Very, very simple. The first question is, are you ready? Are you ready? When did NTV Morning at NTV show premiere? When did Morning at NTV show premiere? Are we ready? Now, yes, I'm getting some notification here. You can also send those SMSs to 6565. Actually, send the SMSs to 6565 and make sure that you win. When did NTV, this show Morning at NTV premiere? The second question is, let me get an updated version here. If you can, Rionga, if you can help me with a script there, a paper where I noted some of the elements of this phone. Very beautiful phone, and I don't want to cheat people. And I think there's something else there. I don't want to cheat people. Instead of telling them about the information, I want them to know. So HTC Desire 300 is coming up. And Rionga, one of my guys here, coming to help me. Thank you, Rionga. Thank you so much. Now, the first question is, when did Morning at NTV premiere? 2, name the hosts of Morning at NTV. 3, what model of the HTC are we giving out on the show? And the fourth question and the last question is, when did South Africa's first ever black president pass on? Send those answers in the correct order. And of course, you can SMS your name and the answers to 6565, and you can take home the HTC here with you. That was our HTC moment, proudly powering everyday life. Let's take a breather. When we come back, everyday life continues. Good morning. Good morning to you, and it's 90 minutes after 8 o'clock, and today we are going to look at the element of anger management. What have you set out to be this morning? Are you going to be an angry person all the way? If everything fails, how can you bounce back and make sure that people, wherever they are, no matter how much stress they've caused you, you'll not get mad at them? And helping us this morning is Tumsime Aaron, who is a clinical psychologist. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, sir. I'm a counseling psychologist.
Yeah, you're a counseling psychologist. Yes. Sorry. How is your morning?
My morning is great.
Right. What exactly do you do? You're a counseling psychologist.
Yes.
What does that entail?
Counseling psychologist. Counseling itself is a helping profession, and it is about helping people to see unused resources and missed opportunities, and basically to help people to make better decisions, so that when they are going to make a decision, they have information, enough information, and therefore they make informed and guided decisions.
Right. Let's look at especially anger, and most of us will say, one of the men in this country who is a kickboxer saying, you're tempering a hot temper. Yeah. And that is Mr. Golola. But away from the semantics of Golola, this issue is very big, especially when it comes to affecting families where men say they have a very short temper and they can't manage their anger.
Yes, please.
First of all, someone will ask you, what is anger?
Anger basically is an emotion in response to a hurt, a wrong, or to an injustice. Basically, it is a response towards a goal blocked. For example, someone wants to attain something or wants to go to a certain direction, and that direction is blocked. So it makes this person angry. And it is a good human given. It is God given to human beings, and it is one of the things that God gave us, like fear.
Right.
So those are emotions. It is one of the emotions. So
Right.
that is basically what anger is.
What are some of the causes of anger? Well, we know some people, even when you just say something funny and they don't like it, they'll go off. In the work that you've done,
There are many causes of anger which we may not exhaust here, but one of them I may begin with, for example, blocked goals. Someone wants to attain something, and you are in between the goal of someone. For example, I will give you the specific example that is common. Someone wants to, for example, is in the traffic or wants to pass and join a certain road, and you block it. There someone can have artillery, and that one is angry already because you've blocked someone to access another lane or to go somewhere. Another one is poverty. Poverty itself can be a cause of anger, because he has failed to do anything that he wants to achieve, and therefore he becomes angry at himself, at the circumstances. You will hear people, the government we cannot do this, not knowing that you also have a part to pay, to pray.
Right.
Someone will tell you, I failed to do ABCZ. So poverty can also bring anger. Then also we have shame or blame. Someone may, for example, have done something shameful in life. Like, for example, if, for example, you have conceived as a result of either a relationship that is not approved, like from your father, like your brother, or if it is like, for example, in Uganda, if you are from the same clan, you blame yourself. How did I do this one? This is a shame. So it brings anger. Then also, we have other causes of anger, like people in politics, for example, failing you to be what you want to be. For example, I will give you, you have come for nomination, and the papers, you have come with your papers, and they say, no, your papers cannot measure up.
They don't add up.
Yes.
Right.
And therefore they will say, you go back because you have entertained that.
And
someone can be angry about it. And say,
are there types of categories of anger?
Yes, there are many categories of anger, and these categories include, I may group them majorly in aggressive and passive. But basically, when you look at them, others also come under those ones. For example, aggressiveness. The aggressive anger, it is an anger that includes or involves action, beating, yelling at someone, violence, making noise, breaking things. That is aggressive. Then passive anger, someone may not be basically making noise or anything, but you can see that this person, that the anger is directed either to some people without talking, or either making faces, not responding to words, or anything that is done. At the end of the day, you find that someone is not involved, but can show, can communicate. In psychology, we say you cannot not communicate, that if you have not even talked, you have already communicated.
Is that the silent treatment that some of us are given? Is that a way of expressing passive anger?
Some people, for example, if he's the head of the family and is making things that, for example, the wife does not like or children, they may keep quiet. That is one way of passive anger, because they are responding. It is a response to something that has been done, either hurt, either wrong, or an injustice. But we also have other categories, and these categories include moral, where someone believes himself that he is there to be angry with other people because he is in authority. But we also have paranoid, whereby someone feels like all other people are against me, or things, people don't like me, or they are out there to oppress me. And we also have other types of or categories of anger, where you find that someone feels like people don't like me. That is also perceived. You perceive it as your own anger. That yes, these people don't like me. And it can also be as same as a paranoid. Right. So that is how people look at different categories. There are many categories that we have, and these ones are some of them.
I understand there are factors that influence the level of anger. Is that the same thing? Is it closely linked to causes of anger, or those are two different things?
Okay, something they could be different in a sense that there are causes, but then you should. For example, I will give you an example. I've already had a problem with myself. Someone has already disturbed me from workplace. Like, for example, where I said moral anger. Someone, because the boss has been talking of abusing me all the day. And all of the time, when it is time for me to go home, I get into my car and I'm going home. And all of a sudden, someone also is making jam, unnecessary jam or mistakes on the road. That's when you will hear someone already yelling. He has already had the cause in the office, but now you are facilitating or you are making things to happen. The same thing, like, for example, if the man has been angered at workplace, when he comes home, he will be beating the wife, he may beat the children, he may beat the puss, everything. It doesn't mean that this man, what is making him is at home, but already he's already angry, and the anger has been bottled up, and he has been with it. Now he's expressing it.
Right.
Yes, he's making it to go out.
I like what the words you used, bottled up.
Yes.
You have stayed with all this stuff for a very long time. And we see people who respond in the most violent ways, people who are calm before. And then all of a sudden, they are, they go haywire, they'll break things. And you're like, but this guy is not an aggressive person. Where did this all come? And then people say, bottled up for a very long time.
Yes.
How do you deal with such pressure?
Okay.
Is it actually fine to express your anger? Are there ways in which you can let out without affecting so many people?
Yes. Right from the beginning, when I was saying, that when we look at anger, it is God-given, but it is either destructive or constructive. In other words, it can be positive or negative. So what does that mean? It means what you do with the anger matters. If you use the anger very well, it becomes constructive. But if you don't use it very well, then it becomes destructive. For example, if, for example, someone came to be enrolled for police, and you say the papers do not measure up, and you send him with abusive words, it may prepare this person to go back to school and get a diploma and get a degree that you thought he would not get.
Really?
That is a constructive part of it. He has used the anger, or a football team. You've defeated them because either you had a football pitch and theirs was not good, or they are not used to this one, or
Arsenal, Liverpool.
Or yes, or they had not trained very well. If you defeat them, they would say, let's go back and train and see how we can get better. So, anger that is destructive, when you bottle anger for a long period of time, it doesn't mean it has gone away. It remains with you. So what does it mean? It means it will offload itself when it can no longer remain inside you. And when it gets out of it on its own, then it is likely to be destructive. So you were asking that how can you
deal with your anger? Because some people clearly cannot do that. People always ask me, but you're always smiling. And I'm like, yeah, because I've chosen to smile.
Yes.
If I told you half of the things I'm going through, well, but I've chosen to smile. That's how I deal with my anger. Are there avenues that you can use to make sure that you do not express this violently or even...
Yes, when you look at anger, anger comes as a result of hurt or loss of something. Then comes anger. Then after anger, death words. Then after death words, someone becomes bitter. And after someone becoming bitter, bitterness leads to destruction or revenge. So when we are looking at how we can deal with anger, there are many things we can do. One, it is meditation, thinking about or processing things that happen. Yes, meditation, thinking about things that happened or that led to the happening of a situation that led you to be angry. Look at it critically and see, why did it happen? That makes you to find out that yes, there could be a reason why someone responded in this manner. Then you also see yourself how you responded towards that. So that one helps you to conceptualize the idea and it helps you to deal with anger very well. Then number two is forgiveness.
That's very hard.
It is very hard, but forgiveness is good in the sense that when you forgive someone, you remember even Jesus said, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they are doing.
Yes.
Not that he was not hurting at that moment, but because he knew it was good for him and because they did not know. When you forgive, you help yourself because the heart reduces and you feel the level of anger going down.
Right.
Then another one is to make sure that you solve things in time.
Interesting. How?
How? Meaning that you prepare to make sure that things that would be coming abruptly or things like, for example, if your boss says we have a presentation to submit at this time, then you need to make sure that by that time that presentation is ready and it is submitted. That means you have avoided anger to be pushed onto you or to be abused.
Right.
Another one is compassion words. Say good words instead of bad words. Remember he said death words. Death words I say, I wish you could die. You don't measure up to anything. But good words are those ones that intend to say, yes, I differentiate between a person, be soft on a person, but be hard on the issue. Meaning that you look critically on the issue rather than looking at the person. Then another issue is of dealing with anger is taking time, that you count 1 to 10. Because we are quick to say certain words when we have not conceptualized what the effect of the words would be to other people. So it would be better and paramount that we first think about, you count. As you count on, maybe the words that you would have uttered on someone, you may leave them.
Right.
And they also say that a person who takes time to think helps himself either to cause anger to other people also to be affected in that way.
Right.
Then another one is the Bible tells us that do not take long with the sin. That it should not be, you should not have sin in the morning until evening.
The sun should not set until...
absolutely. So when you are still angry with someone.
Yes.
So that in between, you need to deal with the anger and proceed.
I think the Muslims tell us when you get annoyed, you first sit down. Is it? Then if you can't sit down, you sit on the floor. If you can't sit on the floor, you walk away. Does the religious part of that also help us deal with anger?
Basically, it is a principle that may apply. Getting away from something that may make you angry, like for example, if someone is quarreling and you know you are going to quarrel and someone abuses you more and you also become angry, and you know that when you start quarreling, actually you end up fighting, you give it a break. When someone quarrels, you just go away.
Right.
When you sit down, like for example, that is a principle, like for example, when you feel like you're about to fall down, it is very paramount that you sit down. When you sit down, something that wanted to put you down, you're already down, so you will not go down.
Yes.
So that I think is also applicable. So all religions, I think, have something that they give, but at the end of the day, we can avoid anger and we can deal with it well. Also, for example, talking good words or helping this person deal with, yes, or showing how you feel towards something that has happened, your feelings, letting out your feelings to this person. Or I don't like it when you do it like this. Instead of saying when you say I. I feel frustrated when you do this. It means that you are pointing at you and you are having a feeling, so that you let someone know what makes you angry, so that another time may not repeat it.
That's very good. So many comments on Facebook, and of course we'll let Tumusime Aaron go on our Facebook page and answer those questions. But Namba was saying, great that today is my day off. Yes, Doc, I have a very short temper and a prolonged one. My anger lasts days for me to feel better unless I break something. Tears can't come, so help me on any other things I can use. We'll go and he'll answer those questions. Mwesigwa Mika Africa says, let me learn to manage my anger. Chris Katene is saying, Brian, I agree with the guest. If someone is poor, the way he or she is talking today, people dislike, and basically men at home. Well, lots of comments. Fahad saying, anger management is good for any working environment, and I want to believe that they are learning, especially for those parents that come home and all the kids disappear from the living room. Something about anger management, please. I hope that you have learned today a very, very little about. Unfortunately, we are spent on time, but we'll definitely bring you back. And you break it down. And you break it down because some of us are facing that at our workplaces, and it extends home. But also, I have some great news. An HTC here for you to win at home. Today, here are the questions that you need to answer, and you send those answers to 6565. When did Morning at NTV premiere? Name the 3 hosts of Morning at NTV. What mode of HTC are we giving out today? And when did South Africa's first ever black president pass on? Send your answers and name to 6565, and you could be a lucky winner of the HTC. We'll take a very short break. When we come back, Isma and Mabel on standby, and I'll be joining them for the sports update. Good morning.
Everyday Life was brought to you by...
And we are HTC. Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing. Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
How? Tugenda okwebaka ekiro. Yanga mwami omanyi? Webakeko nange omulundi gw'ogusembayo.
I went to the nurse and I asked why. Why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive?
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombye ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo lwe bakwokezza. Nazeepoza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokezza.
Kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette.
The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
Oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa ab'ekika era bulala basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagenda mu Lukoola eyo ina Kasongola mu Buluuli twagenda mu Butale Babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde palamenti muyise bosi basajja
omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli eno ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo
tobeera mu ssuuti ate n'oteekamu gganduula
olina kubeerako kimu
kubanga nkusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina
nakulabira abaganda baagala kabaka
On the next episode of La Patrona.
I shouldn't have been so harsh with you. I came here to tell you that I'm sorry.
I only wanted to know how he was doing.
I know.
I'm hoping for a miracle. Something to put an end to this hell that I'm living in.
So not only did you use alcohol to forget, but you also used me? So I'm your consolation prize?
Irene, listen to me.
Shut your mouth. I know for a fact that you were in on it with all of Gabriella's enemies. You were quite the DA when she was arrested, but I won't forget how you refused to do anything when she reported that Beltran had raped her.
Francisca, just listen.
No, I won't listen. God help me if I listen to you again.
La Patrona.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us, whether in your office, whether at home and you've just woken up. Some of you just wake up to catch Dakaba. You should not just do that. We do even from 7 to 9 or from 5:30, get the Fit and Fab segment, and you can wake up to physical fitness as a soul moment, which is awesome. You can just, you know, be in love with your creator in the morning. And of course, a repeat of Akawungezi there at 6:30 p.m. At 6:30 a.m. Good morning, Isma.
Good morning, Brian.
How are you?
Good morning, Nebo.
Morning.
Very, very good.
You're very good.
Yeah.
Yesterday you are more excited. What's wrong today?
No, I was only excited because there was a gap on TV, and yeah, I want to get past it. I want to be more excited today. I want to be more excited today.
Are you excited?
I think I am. I think I am because of the events that come up today. So that should be a good thing for me.
Speaking of great news, the national volleyball team Of course, losing the first match to Kenya, which we had anticipated, you said, you know, it was a very, very bad team as far as, you know, in comparison to Kenya. But also winning their second game. Can they push on from here for top spot?
I think it's going to be very hard because in a tournament that only has 6 teams, on only 6 teams, and you have to finish first, I think sometimes you have to win every game. But one of the things I know is that most of the coaches always remind us that you learn more about your team when they lose than when they win.
Okay.
Now, the thing is that I think when they lost to Kenya, they learned more about themselves in terms of their abilities. Because when in this game they beat up on the Seychelles Islands, they went 2 sets down in a 5-set game and won 3 in a row to win the game 3 sets to 2. So I think it goes back to that thing about how you learn more about your team in defeat than in victory. Because what you demand from your team is character, is response, is not letting shoulders fall. And I think this is what probably Tony Lacon and her girls could learn from the first game moving forward to the second. But the task is not yet done. Like you asked about, can they push for top spot? They have to play Mozambique today. I think they have to beat Mozambique. That will be a start for me.
And the fixtures are quite, you know,
yeah, it's really a 24-hour margin because they are playing at midday.
Yeah.
Luckily, they are playing indoor because this was an outdoor game, and if it was in Uganda, if the weather in Uganda is a bit like Kenya at this point and it's very hot, it would be very hard for them to play in the midday sun. Luckily, it's an indoor tournament, so they can play at midday under the sun, and that wouldn't be so hard in terms of physical demands on the players. But I think it's a step in the right direction. You lose one, you win the next. It's about the response. So can they carry that momentum into the Mozambique game? We'll get to know by midday.
Awesome.
Okay, moving on to rugby. The season ended as we showed here on NTV, and Cobs were on top of the season with 2 games to spare. What's left for the rest of the season?
They say a lot of competitions to come. If you look at your television there should be a lot of them. But then I think the biggest challenge is whether Cobs can go on and win every competition. And they have a lot of lessons to take from Heathens 2002, Heathens 2004, Heathens 2009, and then Cobs themselves back in 2006 when they went on and won every competition. But one of the things, I think the detriment, the biggest challenge they have, one, is themselves. Because you can easily get complacent. They won the league so easily. So it's so easy for them to go into the next competitions thinking, okay, we beat all these guys, we can beat them again. That's one way of looking at it. 2, there is a bit about the fatigue. The reason why Heathens didn't compete so well this season for me, one of the reasons has got to be fatigue. They played in a lot of competitions last year, including that inaugural East Africa Super Cup, which they lost to Nakuru. And ever since then, their bodies have not been the same. You know, most of them are part of the national team. They had to play in the Africa Cup, where they had traveled to Madagascar. Very hard tournament they played there. And then they had to play in the Elgon Cup. Then you're playing in the league, in the Bamburi, in the Sevens, in the Uganda Cup. So how you keep your bodies in shape for all those competitions is also very important. And I've got to think that one of the things that Cobs have got to do, and their coach Fred Mudola, is make the squad as big as possible. Because when you have options, then some players can rest in some of the games, and then all the other guys can come into the picture. Now that helps your most important players, for me, who have been Ramadan Govule, Davis Chiwalabi, and Scott Oluoch. If you have all those 3 players fresh, then you can have all the other players join in and make contributions, because not every team needs all the 15 players to be fresh. All you need is the cogs, the vital players. Govule at the front because he's a lock. Then you have Chawalabe who runs the scrum, and then you have the best 8th man in the country, Scott Oluoch. So at the point when you do that, when you keep those 3 fresh, then you can fill in all the other spaces and go and compete. So I have a feeling that Cobs will be very competitive even after winning the league.
That's beautiful. Let's switch to football. And there's in the headlines, especially yesterday in the papers, they were saying, you know, Nsimbe is now he's far away from his Ugandan counterparts because he did something that very few people didn't expect him to do. KCCA, of course, advancing. Victoria lost. But that has brought the debate of Nsimbe being one of the best coaches, is the best coach in Uganda. Is he actually?
I think those four, and again, especially those four, for Nsimbe, have a lot of arguments they can put up for him. I think ever since he came into coaching, ever since he made the transition, from not being your most glamorous player in the 90s, because was a bit, in Uganda football we call them Kajambia. He was a bit of a Kajambia in the middle, because he was very good when you lost possession. Now to make a transition into coaching, you can, you look at him and see that he's done well since he started coaching from Victors to KCC. But one of the things, I think why this debate comes up, I think the importance of coaches in sport has been elevated. The more sport has evolved and eliminated a lot of the individualistic players, the Diego Maradonas, the Johan Cruyffs, I think there is a lot more of the collective effort that makes teams win. That even in circumstances where you have exceptional players in the team, a case in point, the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids of this world, there's always a demand for the coach to be special. And that's probably the thing about him. And for me, one of the things I know that Nsimbe does well, he has such a relationship with his players. But if his players needed to put up a hand for him, to have his hand cut, their hands cut off for him, they would. He has that kind of relationship and trust.
Really?
Yeah, the players believe in him. There's this mutual respect and between him and his players. And that's probably one of the things that has got him where he is. But if you look at the amount of success, where he took KCC back in 2009 in the Champions League, beating up on SuperSport before losing to El Merrick, then falling into a Confederations Cup before they lost to Bielsa. Then KCC made a big mistake and dropped him. Then they returned him. Now, it has taken them 5 years to get this far. And it had to be in Nsimbe again. So I think when you look at a situation where there are not many coaches in Uganda doing a very good job at the top, with the exception of Sam Simba, who has been everywhere and around. These days he's coaching police in Rwanda. And then there's Sam Timba, I think, at Sofapaka. There hasn't been so many coaches at this time that when you see George Nsimbe make the transition from playing to become a coach, and won their first league title back in 2009. And at the time I remember, rather 2008, they had not won a league title since 1997. So there is a lot of arguments for him. I think he ranks up there. The thing about the argument, whether he's the best or not, they'll always be subjective. We all won't see Mabel as beautiful. I would see as pretty someone else won't. So when we're making the choice, we all have our biases. There is a way we want to choose, and those who choose him have a preference. But then there is a track record to back that argument that Nsimbe is as good as he actually is.
Well, a quick profile about Nsimbe. He holds a certificate in electrical engineering, league titles with KCC in 1985 and 1991 as a player, and 3 Kakungulu Cups in 87, 90, and 93. You know, for me, I think this would even be enough. But he goes on, Sakafa titles with Uganda in 89 and 90. He was a player in this time. He played for 3 clubs. Wandegea Youngsters. I was actually a supporter of Wandegea Youngsters.
I now know where you grew up from.
I was a supporter, and I think Mbabazi came from that club also.
And he's also actually back there, helping the team with the coaching. Livingston in Mbabazi.
Yes, I used to support Mbabazi. There was Nick and KCC. As a coach, he guided KCC to the 2007-2008 league title, and the club was beaten to the 2008-2009 league title by URA on just goal difference. But he went on and led Victors to the 2010 Kakungulu Cup, and he didn't get a single red card in his playing career.
It reminds me of something my friend Maxali told me about Ibrahim Dafala, an express defender back in the day. Also didn't get a card. It was never sent off.
That's very...
Our ref's lenient, maybe.
And of course the man
is lenient to us, no?
He's married to Florence, and the couple has 3 children, 2 boys and a daughter. His favorite jazz was shot 15, and the same number his idol Philip Omondi wore. He scored 7 goals against ST Villa. That is the profile of a man who is believed to be the best coach in Uganda
at this point.
Well, moving on to the Champions League, UEFA Champions League in Europe. Today there are 2 important games, one in Germany. PSG
away to Bayer Leverkusen.
Yes, Bayer Leverkusen. I'm getting to know that. But let's talk about the big one. Come on now. Man City and Barcelona.
Well, one of the things I read up on this morning while I was coming here was Gerard Piqué. And he made a very unfortunate comment about the game when he said that Barcelona don't have the aura. They no longer have the fear factor. He could be right, and I know he's right, because I think Barcelona are not the Barcelona of 2009 and the one that played United off the park in that 2011 Champions League final. But that is not supposed to come from players. It's supposed to come from people like you and me. So I don't think Gerard Piqué is helping the cause by doing that. But anyway, moving on to the game, I think it's a stark contrast of the team that wants to be Barcelona and the team that is Barcelona. Because Manchester City, I think, have built their brand by hiring all these people from Barcelona into part of their coaching staff because they want to build a project like that is Barcelona's.
Yes.
Now, they come into the game knowing that beating Barcelona is one way of becoming the Barcelona they want to be. When this draw was made for me 2 months ago, back in December, at the end of the group stages, I went for the first prediction in my mind, Man City will knock out Barcelona. But how times change. Barcelona back in form. Messi is back playing. He's back scoring goals. Even set a record at the weekend. Went past Raúl. Is the biggest scorer in the history of the La Liga. So those things probably have turned the tide. And then the injuries to Sergio Aguero and Fernandinho returns tonight changed the tide slightly and tilt it in favor of Barcelona because there's that word that people have to use, the one that is pedigree. And I have a feeling that Barcelona probably have an advantage of 55-45.
Who is playing for Man City tonight? Who do you?
I want to think that Pellegrini's best chance of winning the game is attacking at home. And I would love to see him go out with an attack-minded lineup for them. And when I look at it, Constel Patlimon was in goal for the FA Cup, but there is no chance of him playing because Joe Hart is their first-choice goalkeeper. And then in that backline, that's for me where he's going to have a problem because it's so easy to choose Pablo Zabaleta on the right, and then there is a big problem who they're going to choose down the left because he's had to keep on tweaking between Alexander Kolarov and Guy Clichy. Now, the biggest problem for me is that Kolarov looked so poor against Chelsea the other week, and that's why he was dropped and Clichy came in. I have a feeling that Kolarov will come back in. Luckily, Barcelona don't play so wide, so that could not be probably a major problem. Daniel Alves is no longer the guy who flies down the wing. And then the partner for Vicente Kompany has been changed all over the season. I have a feeling that he will choose Martin de Michelis for this because Barcelona don't have a lot of pace in that area. They only pass short and narrow. So if you put in a very physical person like Julian Lescott or Matiana Stasic, you're bound to get a player sent off for something. So probably the come ahead of Martin de Michelis will be very helpful. Then I think while Fernandinho, when Fernandinho comes back into the side, he'll walk straight into the starting 11 while he hasn't played for some time because their best player in that area, just behind Yaya Toure, who is probably their best player for me, Yaya Toure. And just behind Yaya Toure, you have Fernandinho there. I have a feeling that they'll have Jesus Navas start this game. He can go wide and cross the ball, and Barcelona are very poor in the center of the park because Javier Mascherano does not have the height or the presence to go and head those balls out. And then I see David Silva, for me, is a given to come in as their playmaker. Now the fifth player for me in the midfield will be a bit of a problem. Does he go with a striker in Edin Dzeko to partner Alvaro Negredo or James Milner? I'd back James Milner to start there. And then on the other side, Barcelona are a bit predictable because they don't change their team. They don't change their team that much. If you look at them, Victor Valdez is a definite. He has been their goalkeeper's first choice for a very long time. Then there is Daniel Alves on that.
He's very experienced.
Very, very experienced. And I was actually reading a stat that he's never considered a hat-trick. He never considered a hat-trick. So I look at, then on the other side on the right, Daniel Alves. While they played Martin Montoya and he looks better defensively this season, Daniel Alves has the experience in this kind of pressure game at the Etihad where Man City don't lose many.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't lose that many games until Chelsea came there. They're not lost in 2 years. And then I see down the left, I would rather stick with Jordi Alba because of his pace countering Jesus Navas. Adriano Correa has played there, but I doesn't command for me that kind of respect. And of course, Gerard Piqué and Mascherano. I think Barcelona for the last 3-4 years have only had two defenders, Gerard Piqué and Victor Valdez, the goalkeeper and him. So it's got to be those. And then in the middle, of course, they'll go with their three. They never play too many. Sergio Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta. But I think they could include a fourth midfielder because this is an away game. I think Fabregas will start the game. So they can only play two people forward. That is Messi and Alexis Sanchez. Sanchez for the pace.
They don't concede
they don't concede many goals. So if they put another body in the middle, and one of the things that under Pep Guardiola, they wouldn't do all these things because Guardiola believed in his philosophy of the 11 players and the 4-3-3. There were never tweaks. Now, Tata Martin has had a very high learning curve coming to for the first time. So for me, in that kind of sense, Tata Martin will want to change a few things, put a fourth body in the middle, and then Barcelona will be competitive. If you ask me, Man City to win this one.
Man City. 2-1.
Tonight.
2-1. Okay, and I hope that answers questions for People like Bonyamika on Facebook who says, your prediction on Man City's game, Isma tips Man City
to win tonight.
2-1.
Yeah.
If the volleyball team is to win, always they should look for players around the country, not just Ndeje and Nkumba students. We'll talk about that. Shaban Tibrek say predictions for Champions League. I hope they have done that for you. Isma talk about the Nigerian Eagles who have succeeded under Keshi, so even Simbe can make a great national coach of Uganda, and you agree with that?
I agree with that.
We'll have another discussion of why we don't get Ugandans to coach the national team. Coming up, African proverb. A very good morning to you. What is the African proverb?
If you are filled with pride, then you will have no room for wisdom.
Wow. What's the difference between pride and arrogance? I find pride a good thing.
I think it is.
I think it's very good to be proud.
I think, you know, one of the reasons why I love Mourinho is because he knows who he is. He's confident in who he is.
I think that is arrogant.
No, I think that's pride. He has achieved a lot. So I think there's a difference. When you're arrogant, I think you look down upon everyone and you feel maybe you can't learn anything else.
I think it's both proud and arrogant.
You can have both, and I remember listening to one of those Beyonce songs where she says, what you people call arrogance, I call confidence.
Interesting.
Beyonce sang about that.
Yes.
Pride, confidence. But anyway, we all know what wisdom is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there a way you can get wisdom if you feel
you know
you are all that? If you're confident.
I guess for such people, what they will do, I think someone called it selective wisdom. There's a couple of people they listen to, and those are the only people they listen to. So, they are like, look at this one. What do you know? But when someone steps into the room, someone they respect, someone they know has what they want, they'll listen to them. And so, but at the end of the day, even us, the poor ones, we have lots of ideas. And someone said the rich people spend a lot of time among the poor because a poor man knows how to use their money.
No, you need customers.
Yes. But before we leave, I'd like to tell you that you can also get an opportunity to win the HTC. We've gotten lots of SMSs. We want to look through those SMSs and find the most accurate answer. The questions are, the first, when did Morning at NTV premiere? Name the 3 hosts of Morning at NTV. And what is the model of the HTC that we are promoting on this show? And the last question is, when did the first ever Black President of South Africa pass on? Send your name and those answers to 6565. Until tomorrow, it's been an honor and a great privilege to hang out with you for the past 2 hours, and we also want to go and sleep.
I've only hung with you for 20 minutes, but I enjoyed.
Awesome. All right. Bye-bye.
NTV, turning on your world.
It's easy to believe that God is ordering your steps when they take you down a smooth, easy path. But what about when your steps take you to rough places?